When the human soldier removed his armor, the alien queen began to cry. The battlefield was silent now, covered in a heavy mist that blurred the remains of the brutal fight. Once proud banners lay torn in the mud. Weapons and armor were scattered across the blood-soaked earth. The two sides had fought with everything they had, and in the end, neither could claim victory. Only pain and ruin remained. In the heart of the broken battlefield, a single human soldier stood. His armor, dented and smeared with ash and blood, barely clung to his body. His breathing was slow and heavy. Each step he took seemed to echo through the dead land. Across from him, guarded by a small and wounded escort, stood the alien queen. She was tall and regal, her silver hair falling in soft braids down her back. Her violet skin shimmered faintly under the sunless sky, but her golden eyes, once proud and fierce, now reflected exhaustion and sorrow. Her royal robes were torn at the hem. Her crown was broken. Her people had fallen, and she herself had barely survived. The human soldier raised a hand, showing he meant no harm. The queen tensed, her fingers tightening around the short ceremonial blade she still carried. She did not trust him. How could she? The humans and her people had been at war for years. Hatred ran deep, and yet he approached slowly with no weapon drawn. He stopped a few paces from her. The air between them was so still, so fragile, it felt like even a whisper would shatter it. The queen lifted her chin. "Have you come to finish it?" she asked, her voice hoarse but steady. The soldier said nothing. Instead, with trembling hands, he reached up to his helmet. The queen narrowed her eyes, uncertain. There in the silence, the soldier unclasped the seals of his armor. Piece by piece, he pulled it away. The breastplate fell first, landing with a soft thud in the mud. Then the gauntlets, the greaves. At last, the helmet. When the helmet came off, the queen sucked in a sharp breath. The man beneath the armor was not a monster, as she had been taught. He was young, perhaps barely older than her own children had been, with short brown hair matted his forehead with sweat and blood. His green eyes, human eyes, were filled not with anger or cruelty, but a deep, soul-crushing sadness. For an LNG moment, the queen simply stared, and then, to her own shock, tears filled her eyes. The armor had been the wall between them. The armor had been the symbol of everything they had hated. Now, stripped away, she saw him for what he truly was. Just a man who had lost everything too. The queen staggered forward before she could stop herself. The soldier didn't react as she approached. He didn't flinch. He didn't lift a hand to defend himself. He just stood there, broken and bare. When she reached him, she lifted a trembling hand and touched his face. It was warm, real, mortal. A choked sob escaped her throat. Without thinking, she dropped the blade she had been holding. It fell uselessly to the ground. Her hands clutched the fabric of his tattered shirt, as if anchoring herself to reality. The soldier hesitated, then gently, hesitantly, placed his arms around her. The queen broke. She wept into his chest, her body racked with silent, painful sobs. The soldier said nothing. He just held her, his own tears finally slipping free. The mist curled around them like a ghostly shroud, hiding them from the world. In that moment, there were no more sides, no more humans, no more aliens. Only two souls mourning the world they had both lost. Hours earlier, the final battle had been brutal. The queen had watched from the cliffs as her warriors fell one by one. The humans had come in waves, relentless and merciless. She had fought too, refusing to be a coward, but even she knew when all hope was lost. She had ordered the retreat, but too late. The enemy surrounded them. Her people lay dying around her. She remembered the chaos, the screams, the roar of guns and blades, the sky torn open by the fire of war. And then she saw him, the human soldier. He was not like the others. He was not chasing the fleeing. Wounded, he was not laughing in victory. He was simply fighting to survive, just like she was. Their eyes had met across the battlefield. Something passed between them. Something unspoken. Recognition. Understanding. But then an explosion had separated them, and she had thought that would be the end. Now, as the queen cried against him, the soldier finally spoke. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The words were simple, but they broke her even further. No apology could erase what had happened. No words could bring back the dead. But the fact that he tried, that he cared, mattered. "You are not what I thought," she managed to say between sobs. "Neither are you," he replied softly. When she finally pulled back, her golden eyes met his green ones. "What now?" she asked. The soldier looked around the ruined field. He thought of his fallen brothers. He thought of her fallen people. And he said the only thing he could. "We end it." The queen's brows furrowed. "End it. The hatred. The killing," he said. "We start something new." She looked at him, really looked, and realized he meant it. A strange, fragile hope stirred in her heart, even though she was afraid to let it grow. You and I alone cannot change the world, she whispered. Maybe not, he said, but someone has to try. Later, the soldier and the queen made their way through the ruined landscape together. At first, soldiers from both sides who saw them raise their weapons. But the sight of a human soldier without his armor and the alien queen without her crown, walking side by side, made them pause. Confusion turned to curiosity. Curiosity turned to disbelief. Disbelief turned to hope. Slowly, one by one, weapons were lowered. Enemies became survivors. Survivor became allies. It was not easy. Old wounds ran deep. Trust was brittle. But every great change had to start somewhere. And it started here, with a broken human soldier and a weeping alien queen. Months later, the council chambers, once a place of shouting and bloodshed, now echoed with quiet conversation and compromise. The queen stood proudly at the front of the hall. Beside her, the human soldier, no longer a soldier but a symbol. Together, they spoke of peace. Together, they forged a new future. There were still many who resisted. There were still battles to fight, not with weapons, but with words, with hope, with patience. But the seed had been planted, and it would grow. One night, under the stars of a healing world, the queen sat with a man by a quiet river. You never told me your name, she said softly. He smiled faintly. It's Elias. She whispered his name like a sacred thing. Elias. And yours, he asked. She hesitated only a moment. Selena. Elias and Selena, he repeated, looking up at the night sky. Maybe, he said. This world still has a chance. Selena leaned her head against his shoulder, and for the first time in what felt like 1,000 years, she allowed herself to believe. Maybe the world could heal. Maybe hearts could heal too. And it had started when one human soldier removed his armor and showed her he was just human after all.